What's good, superstars? Back with another video. We got superstar Rob. We got superstar Trevor in the building. How's it going, Trevor? How's it going, Rob?
Okay. I'm doing it. I was informed this would be the intro, so I'm ready for it. I'm doing great.
We weren't ready for those packed punches, that is for sure. We are much appreciative for you even coming and joining us to talk a little bit about the McFarlane platform that's coming out for the digital collectibles. We're going to get right into that. We've been scouring every single nook and cranny of Discord and Twitter and everywhere. Rob's been all over the place, and we've been trying to get as many community questions. That's what we like to do here when we do these things, grab questions from the community because they have the best questions and filter them and then try and ask you, and hopefully you can shed some light on a lot of things people are wondering about this new project. I know there's a lot of excitement. That's one thing that we've noticed. But we're going to get right into that. I just got to let you guys know, if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar. Smash the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification. You never know when we're going to have great interviews, AMAs like this, with great people like Trevor down below. Make sure you're following him on Twitter, Builtbytrevor. Fantastic follow. He has roots with the Veve team from earlier on, and just a great guy. You've heard him on Spaces, always bringing so much to the communication, the chat. So really, really appreciate you coming through. We also have the VIP, $2.99 a month. You can help support us, support the channel. You get a star next to your name, access to drop spreadsheets for Veve, and all other types of perks, first dibs on merch. We name stars in the universe after people. So that's the type of stuff we're doing here. And really, really fun program. We're doing other things as well. You'll see it. Thank you to all of the VIP who've been supporting us this far. We got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And on Twitter, you'll find our Veve profile. And we're going to be putting our McFarlane profile there for sure. Eventually, whenever we get that all set up in December. And then we got Discord. That we're talking about Discord. That's in the description. And we have a PO box if you want to send us anything. Trevor, you hooked us up with some promo codes for this upcoming drop. It's the month of November. Understand you're allowing people to go into the physical store. So first, you got to pair your wallet and your email on this first link here.
Yes.
And the second link is where you go and you can purchase actual physical collectibles. And there's different criteria. I'll let you go into that. But the cool part about this is that you're not just buying an NFT, you're spending your $100, not just getting an NFT. You're going to walk away with something. So if you have any worries or anything like that, you still have something to back your investment, right?
Yeah. So I think, and we've been talking about this a lot. So we have, when you use the code, when you use the digital code that's up there on the store, and with any $100 purchase, you're going to get one along with that purchase and the 5% discount that comes with the code. You're going to get one NFT for free with your purchase from our first drop, which is the Spawn launch series that we announced. And if you use the superstar code that's up there, and with a purchase of 300 or more, you're going to get all three characters from the first drop. So that's Spawn, the Redeemer, and the Cloud. So with that purchase, you get you get one, the other you get three. And also right now, these are designed to stack. So if you fill a cart, use it. You can go back, fill another cart, use it again, and just keep going and keep stacking.
We really like how that you've been really open about the rules to this, and you're saying it up front. If you stack it, like, all the rules are out there in the open. Very good to be clear with the communication. We've learned that a lot from our experience with Veve. Like, people have been asking for some more communication. So we're really happy to see McFarlane taking that road up front here early on and learning that type of thing. But no, really, really cool opportunity. Also, this is our affiliate links, guys. So there's some kickback for us if you guys use our codes. If not, you can just use digital or just superfan, and you get the same promo, you get the same everything. It's just, if you want to support us as well, you can use our codes.
Yes. This was as partially as a thank you for you being one of the first communities to reach out to us in the space. We are trying this as something new to again, build that base of a community. And so us doing an affiliate link like this, and as a thank you to you, and also to try some stuff out that's new to this digital collecting space. So we're really excited to offer those that started just a couple hours ago and going today.
Yeah, we just learned of it today, so the timing was perfect. But guys, this is the website that you're going to go to pair your wallet and your email. So the first one that you have to do, make sure that's done beforehand so that everything goes smoothly. And then you can go to McFarlaneToysStore.com, and this is where you're going to find a ton of IP, a ton of different collectibles that you can purchase and hit your limits. And then you're going to walk away with some. You're going to have them. I've already seen some people on stream showing off what they've bought. It's crazy. And it's been fast. Mine already shipped out. I saw the email come through literally the day of, I think. So really, really cool.
Yeah, our fulfillment team has been pretty kick-ass on getting these out.
That's incredible. So definitely got to give you props for that. So we did talk a little bit about how we compare, how people are comparing you with other projects. I know that obviously we cover Veve every day. And you have a history in Veve. I mean, that's why that's another reason. Like, just you alone has given me interest in this project, because I know that you have the same understanding of the space. I guess we want to know, what is your project mission and how will you be different than these other NFT projects, Veve, DC, Palm, that type of stuff? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's a great question. I think the main thing that's going to differentiate us is, of course, we have this amazing history with the physical side, and it's about, for us, it's really about quality first. That's probably going to be the biggest thing that people will immediately notice about the platform and about the content that we're putting out. McFarlane Toys established itself 30 years ago by looking at the rest of the physical collectible market, and that market being a lot of, honestly, low quality stuff, and collectibles, action figures at that time were just not built to a particularly high standard. And McFarlane Toys was founded on the principle that this could be a lot better at the same price. And that's been so we kind of wrote the book on what like high-end physical collectibles look like 30 years ago. And now we're looking at this digital space, really excited by the fact that there's whole new collecting audiences that are both like hybrid audiences as well as digital only audiences. And looking at that space and realizing the same opportunity has presented itself. The quality bar is good, but it's not good enough. And so a big thing that we stand for is, how do we raise the quality bar in the digital space, just like we did 30 years ago in the physical space. On top of that, I think one of the guiding philosophies of our platform, which is going to take some time for people to unpack and see, is right now so much of the focus is you build the platform and you build like the little widgets and like doodads that your collectible can do as just ways to convince people that there's like, it's almost like you do that stuff in service of the content. And I think there's an interesting opportunity here. And this is something I'm particularly excited about, where not only can you have those things in service of the content, but the content coming back and actually serving the platform and rewarding you for engaging in the platform. I don't think that's something, ostensibly, this is the idea of treating digital collecting as the basis of a platform that you consistently engage in. I think people are familiar a little bit with, before Veve, my background in the games industry, and a huge thing that drives us in that industry is audience retention, average hours per active user spent in that, in those games. I want to bring some of that learning and that kind of outcome focus in terms of getting people to have fun and play with the collectibles for as long as we can make it interesting and fun, bring that to the space, because I think it's something that hasn't been touched. So a focus on not necessarily going tons of drops and like tons of content just being dumped out there, smaller rate of drops, but going a lot deeper on the content we're putting out and continuing to add more and more depth. As we're not going wide, we're going deep on the content that we're doing. And I think that's going to be and it's going to take time for that to come forward and for people to see it. But for me, that's like the vision of like what good looks like and what will differentiate McFarlane's platform.
It's very obvious that the quality of the digital side is insane when you see some of the ones that are coming out. But we had a question, because it's very interesting that you have the physical side here. This is a very interesting type of environment that you've positioned yourself in, where you have already like years of experience on the physical side. Now you're entering into the digital side. One of the things is the Disney Mirrorverse. We wanted to know, like, that's licensed IP that you already have on the physical toys. So are we expecting to maybe see that as well on the digital side to marry with the physical products that you have?
Without commenting on specific licenses that will be coming, we are focusing on Spawn right now. But what I would say is that every license that we have is in play. We're trying to bring everything to the digital space in a way that makes sense for our platform and for our vision. And with everything, we're going to be trying to hit this really high standard of quality. And it's not just something like this is something we're going to do. We are actively bringing licenses on board, actively building for licenses. This is not just, this is going to be really trying to touch everything that we've done for the past 30 years, and either the licenses that we're working with today and consistently putting out stuff now, as well as going back into the McFarlane Toys vault, if you will, and bringing that 30 years of licensed collectible content for it as well.
Okay. I guess that kind of touches on our next two questions, Rob. But I think you kind of mentioned how you're talking about how you already have that vault. So those would have to be brand new deals that would have to come out. It's not like you can just bring something that you've already produced into digital format. It would be something that you need to, I guess, work out a digital deal with that IP, or do you have IP rights for the stuff that you've already made within McFarlane Toys? Like, I guess that's the question. Is it open to anything that you have can come out, or you got to actually go and do that IP?
I won't go into the specifics of the process, because first of all, every license is different. Yeah. But there is, I mean, for us, there's two sides. There's three different release models, but two sides to it. So our idea is like, we want to do physical and digital drops together. Like the idea of like, we'll do pack-ins in the sense that you buy the physical, you get the digital. We want to do kind of day and date releases where the physical and the digital version come out the same day at the same price. And then also some of these legacy pieces. One of the rules, just like a hard and fast rule of McFarlane Toys, is when we manufacture a piece and we put it out there, we never do it again. It's always done just once. And then you'll never see the same piece twice on the physical side. So a lot of those first appearances that we have on the physical side, we're excited to bring forward again on the digital side. And I'm sorry, I can't answer specifically about the licensing and like how the intricacies of the deals work for that. What I will say is stay tuned. There's going to be really exciting stuff there. But again, the idea is that everything is in play. We are going for bringing all the exciting pieces that we're doing now and a lot of the exciting stuff that we've done in the past forward.
You just sparked my interest now, because you do have such a catalog, and this question just came out of you speaking there. I know that this first drop, it's basically open season on the store, buy whatever you want, and then you get access to an NFT. It's free. The NFT gets dropped to you if you pair your wallet, whatever. In the future, I guess, will there be some similar things like that where it'll be you buy a certain amount in the store, you get access to drops? I guess you don't know yet, but or is it going to be like, do you see it like IP focused? So if Spawn's coming out, you're going to have to do something related to Spawn, or could you see there being this type of crossover like you have already right now?
It'll be, I think in the future, it'll probably be even more IP focused. This drop was focused on, so we could really about introducing people on the physical side to the digital side through the channel that they're familiar with, which is the McFarlane Toy Store, not forcing them to go to a specific place. They're familiar with loading up a cart, using a coupon, going through the checkout. So it was part of onboarding them that way, onboarding them on the digital side, and then on the digital side, onboarding them to buy physical toys. I mean, I think we're all familiar with the process of like ordering stuff online, but basically introducing them to the McFarlane Toy Store as opposed to pointing them at a specific piece. I can't give specifics right now, but expect in the near future us talking about pieces where you have like the physical and the digital, go buy it on the store, get the digital, or expect or like variations on that. And then of course the goal is to go deeper with the experience with everything that we're putting out on a per collectible, per collection basis, and on a across the whole platform basis. So rewarding people who collect with early or exclusive access to future drops. That is something that is already built into the platform. It's already built into how we're designing our drops and our content. And sometimes that'll stay in the lane of the license. Sometimes it actually might veer from license to license. This is all stuff that we have control over and things that we can bring to the table. And super excited to do it, because all that, to me, it goes back to this idea of platform, of how do you make the platform more fun and more engaging. And that's like what we're excited to experiment with.
Yeah.
Will the collectibles that we already have that first set going out, but will they have mint numbers? This is a question that we had from our Discord. Another one was that will there ever be an effort to match the mint numbers with the physicals if you do order them with a more IP focused strategy?
Yeah, so we have built in, first of all, they all have token IDs, which are numbered, and then they're going to have like the mint number in the name associated with them. And then as far as matching the physical to digital, it's something we've heard that feedback. We're definitely interested in, I will say this, the first drop, well, first of all, this first drop is like different toys to the collectibles, so there's no real matching there. In near future drops, if we are having like physicals and digital come together, matching the mint is not going to be a part of the initial, because building that honestly building that infrastructure. I don't want to go into the back end of this, but basically going from you have a manufacturing run, you get those pieces that come out, you have to understand who you're fulfilling it with and have their wallet and make sure you drop the same matching one is tech that we are exploring. So it's something that we're interested in doing.
Okay. I guess, do you guys have a target audience? Is it like we know with Veve we get a lot of investors versus collectors. I'm sure you guys are aware that the investing aspect of this whole space is what draws a lot of people in. Or is it just like for fun for kids? Like what is the I guess the root audience?
Yeah. First of all, I think the goal is overall to have a healthy ecosystem, and I think you actually need every side of it. You need the people who are going to, just on the digital side, you need the people who are going to collect and hold for years. But you also need the people, you like, people don't like the term, it's become a pejorative. The flippers have a value to the ecosystem in that they create transaction volume. And that creates, to me, it's like, what's the outcome we're trying to achieve to, which is to make this ecosystem interesting, to make people want to keep coming back and engage with it because it's interesting and it's fun and it's rewarding. So we want to court both. We actually want we want some flippers, we want some long-term collectors. And then of course that same logic applies on the physical collecting side. The timelines are a little different because of the nature of physical collectibles. But we want to also make this something that the physical collectors who are new to this ecosystem see it and get excited about it, maybe get excited by the faster pace that is the digital collecting. And that's something that gets them excited. So it's going to be, I mean, it's hard to say specifically who it's for. We certainly love our collecting audience. And on the physical side, we built up an enormous one. But we also recognize that you actually need people who are here to kind of go through the content more quickly.
Rob, I'm going to pull one up from the audience first. Because I've seen it 5 times. I wanted to see if you can answer this question. How many available mints for that first drop have been reserved? So is there still ample supply left for the promo, I guess is the question. Or is
yes,
it getting
there's
close?
still, I would move, but yes, there's still supply on the store. And realistically, when you load up the cart, it will, if you can still apply the coupon code, it's still available. Once you can no longer apply the coupon code, it's done. So
that's how you'll know.
You'll know if you fill up the cart, you'll know.
That makes a lot of sense. Just reading in between the lines there. If the promo code doesn't work, then you know it's over. Another question we have from the Discord was, will comic books be available that McFarlane was involved with? And maybe if it's just the cover, let's say, rather than the actual comic book. And they will even be AR, so you can read it in the showroom. Can you see it like kind of what we see on Veve? Any thoughts on that?
Again, I don't want to comment on specific content beyond this point. What I will say to that is stay tuned. It's definitely something that we are interested and excited about.
Okay. So how about, I guess, further to his point, then, not regarding specific IP or specific models, is AR function going to be something that we see here? Are we going to be able to place our collectibles in AR?
So one of the other differentiators for us at launch, but that's because of the platform. So we are targeting a PC first, and we're going to be coming to Mac OS shortly afterwards. The reason which inherently it's not a platform that people are using AR on. Of course, we are interested in AR functionality and AR tech, and we have built this in a way that we can scale it to other platforms like mobile that support it. But our focus, and I'm sure this is going to go into some other questions you have and probably pre-answered them, but the reason for going for the PC first is, number one, it allows us to really push the quality bar as far as possible, because there's no argument that the highest level, the highest quality assets in real-time experience is going to be in that environment. So that's why we wanted to go there first, so we could really push the quality bar. And we think that also speaks to the physical collector and the fan of these IPs. They're used to seeing these physical collectibles or the IP they represent in a really high quality. If you're a fan of the IP, you want to see it like in the film where you're seeing cinema quality assets. If you're seeing it in a game, a AAA game, you're seeing those quality assets. With the toys, with the level of detail and the just a level of like surface detail and all that kind of stuff. It's something you can't it's something you just can't achieve at a mobile level right now. And we also look at the larger market and realize people don't pay for mobile assets. Like the larger, like people are used to mobile means free, like free to play. Like they don't see the value in it for the larger market. So going for this platform first and then being able to downscale to support mobile and in turn AR is something that we're interested in doing. But it was important for us to start in the high end space. This is not a write-off to say we're never going to do AR. We're very interested in mobile. We're very interested in AR platforms. We're also interested in VR platforms. But it's just at launch we're going to be focused on this just because the quality bar is the most important.
Will there ever be? So another question we actually got a lot, which was, will there ever be a drop system focused only on the NFT aspect, the digital side only? How would that draw system look? We just saw it right now on the DC side on Palm, where there was, when the drop came, it was a little bit confusing. People were talking about maybe that system needs to be improved. We know Veve has their way of doing it with the bots. You know, the first one hit the button goes. Have you guys talked about that at all? What's the plan with that?
We talk about it a lot, and we've built the entire platform around how we can address that. And basically, whether it's like doing airdropping, like snapshotting and airdropping, building that functionality into it, we've already built to solve for that in a bunch of ways, as well as looking at how we do drops in the future. Again, I can't get into specifics on content, but looking at how we do drops in the future in order to reward people who are already here, because that adds value to the content and makes the content more interesting. It always goes back to that premise of how you make the content interesting, engaging. So there will be, and the other thing is our entire ecosystem, we're building this on Polygon, which is a very well supported platform. It's pretty easy for us to figure out who, and we're also doing our drops through Rarible is building our marketplace. So because of that, we have a very robust ecosystem that we're working off of already. So for us to do snapshots, airdrops, whitelisting based off what people have and what people own and what they're collecting is something that is already like built into our whole ecosystem.
I have to ask, because you triggered me when you used the word snapshot. Believe it or not.
Too soon, man.
I have to ask, because there's actually a debate on this. When you say snapshot, if you say 8 a.m., for example, if you sell it right afterwards, do you still get it if you owned it at that snapshot time?
Technically that's what a snapshot is doing. So if you did sell it right after, it's one of the, so I don't know what side of this debate you're landing on, but ultimately for us to, and here's the reality of it. Like, the snapshot basically has to do a crawl of all the wallets that hold a piece, and basically it's basically just search in the back end. What's happening? It's basically just searching a list and pulling down those wallets. And if that piece goes on sale afterwards, you can't then, you've already done the search. So what you're basically asking is how many times are you can continually doing the search up until the last moment. And also the reality is also those continuous calls have a cost to them. It's minuscule, but there is a cost to continuing to do that up until it. But we also then you'd have to then get those wallets over to your whitelisting and set up basically what's the list of wallets that are like have access to this thing. So yes, there is like snapshots happen once. It's not this like rolling thing that you're checking, if that makes sense. That's why it's called a snapshot.
We completely agree. We just recently made a video. There was an airdrop that was at a certain time on Veve, and if you sold it afterwards, you didn't get it. But the article used the word snapshot, and I couldn't believe how many people debated that point. But this is what we expected. That's why we asked if you're confused, kind of a backstory to it. But
sensitive topic.
And clearly, I might have emotionally triggered some people with this, which was not my intent. Like, I'm just trying to say. So here's the one thing that might have happened too that people didn't think about. It's not like you can, if your list has thousands or millions of people on it that you have to crawl through, you can't just do it all at once in one color. You kind of like, the way a computer works is like you have an array of things, and you kind of compare one at a time and go from one to the other. So if you have thousands of wallets, tens, hundreds of thousands of wallets, you might have said, oh, snapshot happened at 8, but realistically, if you sell it at 8:01, you might have just been further down the list, and by the time you sold, the snapshot hadn't done your like lookup yet. So I would not sell like the minute after a snapshot. I would wait like
I sold 20 minutes after, but it's, to me, I always thought it's on the blockchain. It's time stamped. Like I felt like you can always pick up who owned it at that time, but I guess that's not how it works. So.
You should be able to do. I mean, but now you're doing it's such a massive lookup.
Yeah.
And the other thing to keep in mind is that wallet to owner is like who's owning the piece at the time is like basically all what's tracked is the transaction. So what's actually on the blockchain is the motion of the asset, not so much that this wallet has these things in it. You can only really track the transactions. And if that makes sense, like it's I guess you can kind of like if you picked up a wallet and looked through and saw what they had and did that search, but that would take a lot longer than if you're just looking for the transactions. So there's like more to it.
Okay, so this is a big one, I think. I know that a lot of people are drawn to your platform because of the fact that it is on Polygon and there's promises, I guess, of interoperability. I guess we know the first drop is Spawn. It's IP from McFarlane. A little bit easier to do stuff like that. Do you guys plan on whatever coming out onto your platform to be interoperable, or will there be limitations where some things can't be taken out and moved around? Or I guess that's the first part. And then second part is like, how do you see it working with other metaverses, et cetera?
Yeah. So first of all, the way that the way that you own pieces is that basically we put them in your custodial wallet. So you can, as far as marketplaces go, instantly, like from day one, interoperable in terms of that. So you can we will have them on McFarlane Toys Digital. You'll be able to buy, sell, trade there, but you could go do it on Rarible or OpenSea or any Polygon supported marketplace. As far as the metaverse question is a more interesting one, because of, again, back to how high quality we built our assets. These aren't low quality GLB files that, quite frankly, in my opinion, generally look like shit. These assets are like high end, hundreds of thousands of polygons, multiple 4K textures. Some of them will have animations and other effects associated with them. Their FBX is designed to run in a high end rendering environment that you can't achieve in a WebGL or a mobile environment. So yes, you will have a representation of that asset with very high end imagery that we will have on the app. So you'll be able to see the asset in your wallet wherever you go. If you're using a metaverse where like you can use that image like as a JPEG on the wall, like a piece of art, if another metaverse, like for example, supports that, you should be able to bring that piece in, because that side of it will operate just like any other 2D NFT asset out there. However, what matters is when you connect that to our viewer application. This is the PC piece of the PC side of this, and that's where you get to see the absolute highest end version of that asset. That's the 4K level. That's like the AAA 4K level asset that you bring into our room. And the reason we did it like that is, again, it's about quality bar. And it's also, how do you stay? I think there's also an element on like more of a, and this is more product management kind of thing. How do you stand out in the space? We think quality is a really important one, and having a space where having us have the space where you can experience things at that maximum quality is an important differentiator for us. But of course, we understand the desire to have interoperable assets, and we have built this in a way to support that.
So they're almost like different layers of quality that can be unlocked here, which is kind of cool. So you can
get different LODs effectively.
Yeah, cool.
Sorry, an LOD is a gaming level of detail. It's a term for 3D assets in games. As you get further away from them, crazy. They swap them to lower LOD because it's further away. You can't even see that detail anymore. Yeah. So this is almost our application. The closer you are to our viewer app, the higher quality it's going to be. The further away, when you're in another ecosystem, you can see it and it looks good, but it's not. Not
pushing the button on YouTube, 240, 360, and you keep going up until you get to the good quality. Yeah.
So we know you have a gaming background. You mentioned a lot about the experience and what's going to make people have fun and come back. Obviously, the first thing that comes to my mind is gamification. Yes. We know it's in the Veve white page. They plan on doing that. Can you tell us a little bit more on right now the project's plan for gamification? Will the NFTs be able to give you access to the games? Will they be used in the games themselves? Can you give us some insight?
Yeah. So Right now, what we have built in the platform, like when it launches December 1st, there's going to be a full like leveling and XP system. Our version of a gamified platform, at least our version 1 of what that looks like. So that'll be there from launch. And basically every time you engage with the collectible, and expand whatever you're like expanding your collection, holding your collection, engaging with it inside the viewer app in a bunch of different ways, you will earn XP, basically experience points against that behavior, that engagement. And as you earn this XP, you'll be climbing. There's a leaderboard that you'll be climbing, and then we will be rewarding people based off how far they up how far up the leaderboard they are, or how many points they've earned in a period of time. We're building basically. The more you engage, the more likely you are to get whitelisted on future drops, guarantee access to future drops, exclusive drops, airdrops of like free stuff in the future. There's all that kind of stuff that we're building into it. So the platform itself is entirely gamified in that way. As far as assets that can be used in other games, that is very much on the licensor's call if they want to support that. Just like everything else kind of in this kind of burgeoning Web3 space, it's just as important as assets going out and being usable in other places. You also need to have the other places accept those assets coming in, which is a thing people don't talk about as much. Yeah. We have built these assets. I mean, we're building them with AAA game development teams, so they are built to that standard to be used in those kinds of environments. If there was an ecosystem that was willing to support it, they could. The assets are built like assets you would find like characters or environment assets in a game. Again, it's more about, it's like if we're putting it down, who's going to pick it up kind of thing. So, I mean, we have built these assets. I don't like that term metaverse ready because it's too nebulous, but we've built these assets like they're AAA game assets because that's what they are. That's basically how we're building them. And it'll be cool to, I mean, again, now at some point, this is also like things I would love to see and I would dream to see in this platform is seeing these things in another game. But obviously that is steps away. I can't speak to that, but we have built them in the right way to do that.
As you were talking, I changed my question twice. So my first question was, because you guys have the McFarlane license, that's a little bit easier for you guys to deal with, I guess, Spawn and that type of IP. Does that, like, would those be automatically able to be gamified? I mean, like, do you have plans for gamification? Can you speak to that IP because it's your own?
Gamification or used in games, because they're kind of two different things.
Used in games.
Used in, okay, so that's what we want to get to.
Yeah,
I can't speak to that one, right?
Okay. Okay, and then you don't have to answer this question, but from how you answered it, at least for me, I got the vibes that you guys are like trying to partner with people if they're able to support your product. Don't say anything, but that's my vibe, which is kind of cool. If stuff is not sold out from the store, will NFTs be burned, and will burning be part of the roadmap?
I hate to do this. I'm gonna say stay tuned on that. We will have more specifics of that presumably like fairly soon.
You mentioned like your MCP style. You were talking about experience points. So, at first you kind of alluded to some kind of MCP program. I think what you meant by that was that experience that you just talked about. And just so I understand correctly, so you own the collectible, you'll get experience points. If you play the game with the collectible, you'll get experience points as well. And you'll find other incentives to make incentivize people to collect and hold, or will be points for trading if you sell or trade? Can you give us some more insight on that?
Yeah, I this is a funny one. Me personally, I don't actually want to give as many specifics because, again, going back to this idea of engagement, I like the sense of discovery. I can't wait for people to dive into this system in December and figure out how it works and let them basically theory craft. I don't want to come out and tell you how the system works specifically. What I will say is collecting and holding has value, and we built the system around that. I won't tell you how much value. I won't tell you how you get it, and it'll be up to the community to figure that out. And I think there's going to be some really interesting. My hope is that there's some interesting theory crafting that comes out of it. I do want to clarify when I talk about because he did mention with like using the game. To me, I view this whole the whole system that we're building is designed to be gamified, if that makes sense. It's not like Like, I think people when they hear game, they like capital G game. Like, there's like, is there a like that kind of thing? I wouldn't expect that. But the whole thing is designed to basically a lot of objectives and rewards for collecting, engaging with the ecosystem, and then we're going to be rewarding people along with those systems.
So this is effective immediately.
Yeah, it's at launch. It's already built in, and we're going to launch with it.
Okay,
cool. So one of the questions actually kind of relates to this next question, but utility has been a big driver for a lot of these people investing and buying collectibles. On Veve, we see it all the time. When utility is airdrops good enough? Like, these are all topics that come up. We've seen other projects like Palm NFT and Backcowls where they get access to certain events. Does McFarlane Digital have plans, or have they had discussions? I don't know if you can speak to any plans, but have you had discussions about giving utility further to airdrops or access to drops? Has there been like events discussed?
I mean, he's speaking to the event we did at New York Comic Con, which was, this was pre-platform, so it's hard to point to it as like utility for our NFTs. But yes, we are we've had lots of discussions and already been making plans around that. Again, for me, I view utility kind of in the same way I view the gamification side of this. There's basically, you can be rewarded within the lane of what you're collecting, or across from like one lane to another, and that happens kind of at two levels. There's like the per collection utility, if you want to call it that, or gamification, if you want to call it, and then there's the platform level where everything you're doing on the platform has objectives and rewards, and that built into it. We are, again, that's like very much the focus of how we're trying to build this, to keep rewarding people for engaging in the system, where the top engagers feel like they are getting the top rewards in a sense. I can't speak to specifics about like what we're specifically planning right now, but what I will say is we were very excited by what happened by our New York Comic Con event, and I think a lot of us would like to see more of that in the future at other conventions, at other comic conventions, where it makes sense.
Cool.
Okay, we see on Veve, they talk a lot about how licensors are very resistant sometimes to interoperability. I mean, this is Polygon based. So just generally speaking, why do you think that licensors in the space, with your experience of working in it for so long, what are they worried about? What kind of malicious activity are they worried about? Generally speaking, this applies to both Veve and your platform.
I think it's inherently, I think the malicious activity is part of it, but I think what really is licensors have a vision of how they want people to experience their IP. They want people to experience their IP and brand at a really high level of quality, and they're going to go wherever they can offer that best experience. Our goal is to set the new standard for the best experience, so that we get so that more and more licensors are coming to us, and we've built this platform with that in mind. And we're seeing the results of that, again, without getting specifics. But what I will, so in my mind, the reason that people didn't like the interoperability side of it, because they were worried that their IP was just going to run off, and like that experience was not going, they weren't going to be able to serve that same quality experience if it wasn't locked down. We have built this in a way where we can achieve a lot of the kind of design affordances and expectations that the audience has around NFTs and interoperability, in terms of the fact that they can be bought, sold, and traded, and like on all those other platforms, while still having this specific location that is at the top quality bar that maintains that top experience. I think the other thing is, I think as a passage of time, a lot of licensors have become more familiar with the NFT space and how it works, and they're seeing that it's not as bad as they thought it was. I think there's obviously still the bad actors, but as far as mistreatment of the IP, there's not much you can do to mistreat an IP if you just have an image of it, if that makes sense. Like, there's more ways, like they're more worried about ways it can be mistreated in the in like I'd imagine 3D interactive kind of environments. And so that's why we want to so we have to partially control for that, but we can also offer so much of the other like design affordances that come with NFTs right now. Again, this is part of the idea of like, we have built these assets in a way where they could be moved out, but it's number one, up to the licensors. That still applies to us. And also if there are other platforms that are willing to pick up that content. So there's a lot of, it's a much more complicated thing than just the idea. It's not like a binary, like, is it usable, is it not? It's like you can build the stuff in a bunch of different ways. And quite frankly, assets, if they are moving from one platform to another and that's supported, those assets are going to have to be tweaked anyway, because every platform and every experience that someone builds runs a little bit differently, and you have to build things differently for it. A really stupid example, but like, if you make an asset in Call of Duty, there's a reason it doesn't appear in Fortnite beyond just they're two different companies that like are competing. It's all the way down to like Call of Duty is built with all their assets are built to very, very specific standards using feet and inches. And Fortnite is built to less specific standards, but they use meters. So like right there, the assets are a different scale. And at that level, when you're making assets for games where they have to be that optimized and that performant to keep those games running, tweaking the asset to go from built to the scale of Call of Duty to the scale that works in Fortnite is a non-trivial amount of, it's like not a non-trivial amount of work. It takes effort to rework that asset to make that work, if that makes sense.
Total sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that honestly shouldn't really like, I understand why people are interested or concerned about it. I think that will come in time, and we've built these assets in such a way that they would and could be ready for that when it comes. But we're also building in a way where our ecosystem is the best product experience or the best IP experience out there for these brands.
Cool. Speaking of people who got their toys, we got Veve Arcade received his toys yesterday, so he's ready to go. Yeah. I know that a lot of people have been asking us questions about what's coming. I know you just mentioned a little bit about trying to make it kind of a user surprise experience. Is there somewhere where people can go to learn more about, I guess, a roadmap type of thing, or anywhere that there's future talk, or is it just all under wraps and you're going to release it as it comes kind of thing?
Yeah. So we have if you go to the McFarlane Toys Digital.com, at the bottom, we have a couple hints at what's coming to the roadmap in 2023. That is not an exhaustive list. That is just the beginning of that list. It's much larger than that. And again, I think this speaks to a design philosophy and a product development philosophy that's not usually as like audience facing, but I don't actually like the idea of a hard and fast specific roadmap, because ultimately we're not designing, like, it's not about, can you make like this is our vision for the perfect product and this is what we're going to build. It's about what's the outcome we're trying to achieve, exactly that. And it's about what's the outcome we're trying to achieve, which is what's going to be the thing that's most engaging and most fun and exciting for users. So what we have is a agile backlog of features that we are actively working on. That includes these that are in the roadmap, as well as a number more that we will be bringing to the platform and to the content and the collectibles throughout the course of 2023, 24, and beyond. So it's unfortunately, like, it's hard for me to point to this is what we're doing in this order, because it's constantly changing based off feedback, based off audience behavior, based off sentiment, honestly, based off like me being in Twitter spaces and listening to what people are excited on. Like, we move stuff around based off all of that.
Yeah, cool. No, I mean, we've seen what happens when we get over promises. So, I mean, having a generic skeleton there and then having surprises, I don't think will do any harm. I see a super chat there. We're actually going to get to something very similar, Rob. So when we get to that question, maybe pull that super chat up and talk about it. But I guess you got the next one, Rob.
I actually already wrote down. So this is Omi Power. We'll get back to it. I wrote down your previous question. We'll get to it very, very soon, and then we'll pull up the rest of your questions there. So the next one we got here is the Instagram is big news on how you can actually sell now on Instagram. It's so new. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that? I think your platform already has that capability, but tell us more about how the collectibles can be sold on Instagram.
Yeah, so because all our assets are on Polygon and you will be able to see them in your wallet, presumably the way that the Instagram site works is it's a marketplace where you can buy, sell, trade, and display Polygon digital collectibles, Polygon NFTs. So because our assets are inherently built for that platform, you will be able to display them on Instagram and however they're deciding to support it. And that's true for any platform that supports Polygon because of our assets. It's also, I'll give them a shout out to like Oddkey. They're built on Solana. That platform, they also support Solana. So those assets will work as well.
So actually, let me just jump ahead there though, because that was one of the things we had, right, about Oddkey. So one of the questions is, and we're going to pull it up right now. So this is number 3. Will Oddkey 3D collectibles work in the viewer app? I think you're saying the answer is yes.
I'm going to give a stay tuned because, again, then we're leading into future content. So
okay. And since we have it on the screen,
these are all, I'm going to just say these are all stay tuned questions. And okay. I appreciate him asking them. I think they're all valid questions. We will have those coming out. I will speak to about the Mac side, just because we've experienced it. If you have the new, we've designed the app so that it works with like low and mid spec PCs. And if you have a high spec PC, if you have a beefy rig, like this thing will really like push it we make use of it. That's what that's part of the quality bar side of it. You can only really achieve the best looking stuff if you're using all the graphical and rendering power at your disposal. Mac is in this interesting space as an ecosystem where half their ecosystem is still on the x86 architecture dealing with Intel, and then their newer devices, the ARM architecture on the M1 chips. And there's definitely improvements that you gain from being on the M1 chips or any of the newer like Apple Silicon. Stay tuned. The new
that's your hashtag.
That's your hashtag. There you
because you know what? Because I was so sick of hearing soon, I had to come up with something new. That's really
there you go. There you go. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so I know that there's a lot of questions about this as well, because obviously the Veve teams had some issues with certain areas in the world being able to access drops, getting banned in the middle of having a collection without really having that open communication. I guess is this a worldwide platform yet?
Yes.
If not,
on the digital side, we have. On the physical side, we are restricted in terms of. And again, this is we're restricted in terms of where we can ship to, and people are experiencing that now. But yes, the digital side, and this is also part of the appeal of digital, is that we can deploy and be available globally instantly, and that's something that's really exciting. And you access a global collecting audience. So yes, it is effectively a global platform, and also again built on Rarible. It's built on a really robust. The marketplace is built on a really robust framework. So that allows it to be available wherever you can access that site.
So we know that they had a lot of issues, I guess, with anti-money laundering. Is that an issue for you guys or not?
That's funny. Right now, I don't see it being an issue, but it's also the kind of thing that you have to constantly work against it, because there is the NFT ecosystem there is, like we've all seen, there's a lot of scams and fraud, and so you have to work around it. So because of the way our platform works, where all the collectibles are basically on Polygon, when you're buying and selling assets, you're buying and selling them in Polygon, which inherently, and now we do have a fiat on-ramp as well, so people are able to buy in both Polygon or in fiat currencies. When they sell them, they are selling them to Polygon. So however you use to cash out Polygon is how you're doing it. But we're leveraging the fact that Polygon is a pretty large, robust ecosystem with the proper cash in, cash out procedures that other people have built. Again, we really want to focus on super high quality in our content and our experience. Us focusing on how to build a cash in, cash out system, like a proprietary one, isn't going to serve those goals, especially when such great systems already exist. So let's leverage this tech that's already out there. And we will focus on what we do best, which is great collectibles, great platform, great experience, and the super high quality bar. Like that was our vision for it.
So to summarize, then basically anywhere you can get access to Polygon, or Matic, or whatever their coin is,
Matic,
Matic, then you're okay on this platform. Yep.
So I just was introduced to Oddkey. Actually, I went on their Discord for the first time. Great guys on the Discord. They pointed me to YouTube videos to help me learn more about it. So one of the first things that I thought of, though, was, you have this new project coming out. You already had an existing one. Why go and make a new system? Why not just right off the bat build on that one? Why did you decide to make a separate one? And I have some follow-up questions. Maybe answer that first.
Yeah, so there's some that I don't want to get too much into specifics on that, but part of it is kind of the initial focus of the platforms, with Oddkey being very much like an arts focused platform, and arts and creators, and of course tied with Steve Aoki, and ours being tied to the toys side of the business. And so that was part of the reason for that. It also, the reason for the different ecosystems was honestly, and I think people also are familiar with me working with Tomorrowland, a lot of the artist side of ecosystem of collecting has found a home on Solana, whereas a lot of the collecting side has found a home on effectively EVM based blockchain. So for us, that was another reason for that. However, we have been working to bring these communities closer together. I think we had, like, even yesterday, we had a big discussion about it and how we can tie this stuff more. And so there should be more on that in the near future, and how we're going to be like really trying to bridge these communities together to make it feel like one community, even if the platforms, I shouldn't even say even the platforms, even if the underlying tech is separate, it should feel like one community and one collecting community.
So what will happen, let's say, to the OCT token, and how will it be impacted? Hashtag stay tuned.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go with the stay tuned. I'll throw it to the shout out. Yeah, there we go.
And one more. Let's see. You might have to keep that up there, Joe.
All right, probably.
How about staking? How about staking? Could we see those same kind of incentives like staking from Oddkey come over to this platform as well?
I think that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Pull it up, Joe. All right.
What? Up it goes, down it goes.
I don't know. We might get the same one on this because we're kind of digging here. But we've seen the success of Palm and DC, the Back Cowl project, right? Where they bought into the one item and continuously getting rewards. Is there something that you guys plan to do? I guess you might not answer, but do you plan on rewarding OGs similar to how Palm has done the same thing?
It'll work differently. I personally, and although I think people know I am now a card-carrying member of the Bat Cowl community, I think I've made that abundantly clear in enough spaces. The idea of doing like an OG kind of project and then tying a lot of stuff to that one project, I don't want to take that approach. We want this to we want the collectors who've been constantly building and engaging and building their collection to have that snowball into continually building and having those advantages to grow their collection. That's kind of my view for it. And that's all I'm going to say on it right now. It won't work the same way. Or like, I think probably the most obvious example, like the Recur version of that, where like basically they sold the passes and then everything was tied back to the passes. Like it won't be like that.
Yeah.
We've
seen it. Actually, you make a good point. We've seen it work and we've seen it not work. So
I agree. It's worked for the Back Cowls. I don't think in my opinion, it hasn't worked for Recur quite as well. But I think, and again, it's just another thing where I think there's room to do something different and more interesting and exciting. Yeah. And also I'll leave it at that actually.
Big shout out Superstar Alex and Crypto, big supporter of ours. Again, we appreciate everything that he's done. He's also been giving us lots of questions for this interview as well. He says, is there any way to see how many mints are left have already been bought? I'm assuming when the platform is finally operational,
yes.
Will you be able to
see
how many
when it's available, when the platform, because like we still have to like set up this first drop, the way it's going to go, because you're buying the physical and then getting the digital, we're going to airdrop that first collection and we will be very transparent on how that goes out. Not to mention it's all on the blockchain. Like you'll be like, we are aware people will be able to figure this out. So yeah, we will clarify that.
And while we're on that topic of superstars, we had another one from our Discord, Superstar Level AB. He had a very, very specific question. We would have never even thought of it. It was regarding female characters. He was asking, will McFarlane try to capture more of the female market? There's some history behind that. So he was wondering, now they have this new digital platform. Will there be some kind of focus on that? What do you think?
I think part of that is, I think that's largely a content question that I don't really want to go into. It's certainly something that I think is it's definitely an opportunity because the space does lean male heavy, and also there's no denying that McFarlane as a brand tends to lean male heavy. So I think that is an opportunity for us. But again, I can't put specifics out. If I see that one more time,
he's gonna rug us.
I'm gonna rug us. No, but it's just it's such I'm getting on my soapbox here for a second. I get why people get so annoyed at the soon when they see soon. And to the point of me trying to find some other way to word it by saying stay tuned. But it's also real, like, so much of the stuff I want to share, but I can't. And it's like, just because of the timing. And so you have to find some way to work around it. And eventually everything just becomes a fucking meme anyway. So it's like, I'm just going to have to embrace it and learn to live with this. Cause it's like, and this also goes back to, like, I don't want to be on the other side where it's like me, the product guy, talking to you, the customer guy. Like, I want to have that normal relationship that I've had with this community, like in this collecting space for the last 2 years, basically. And I'm worried that I'm losing that when I have to go throw to the stay tuned every time.
You guys haven't even launched yet. I think if you haven't launched yet, you're allowed.
Oh yeah. So you're telling me I've what day is it? It's
December 1st. No more stay tuned.
More days of enjoying this, and then all of a sudden I'm one of them.
Exactly.
I'm no longer one of us. I'm one of them.
Exactly. I guess you pointed to this already. You talked a little bit about app or in developer, you might eventually get into an app type of atmosphere, but because of the quality right now, you have PC based, so you can take advantage of
PC app, and then a mobile app is something we are very interested. I would say more than very interested in in a mobile version, mobile app.
Okay. And then I just want to pull up a couple here that I saw, if I can find it now. One of the questions was from Veve Arcade. He was just asking if McFarlane is backing up the project. I guess it sounds like you had an event where he was there, so obviously, he's backing it up.
It has his name on it.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
So,
and was there one more up here, Rob? No. Okay, that's it. No, go ahead.
That's it. One thing that we feel, now being one of us, like you mentioned, for the last 2 years, is you had an opportunity to really listen to the community. From these questions, I'm already starting to get the feel that you've addressed a lot of the concerns that people were talking about along the way. But what else have you learned from other NFT platforms that you hope to implement? Is there anything still on your bucket list? And what are maybe the key things that you've already implemented that you've learned from listening to the community and other NFT projects?
I think a lot of the times when people ask when people talk about these projects, or when people complain about the projects, I think there's really one root issue that there's kind of a root that comes from this, which is an expectation that the project is going to continue to grow and expand at a pace that keeps the project compelling. It doesn't that's kind of what I think is the root of it. And within that, there are a lot of specifics, like why I want this feature, I want that feature, I want this utility, I want this engagement pattern, like whatever it is, it all comes down to projects. I think people want projects to grow faster. Now, there is obviously an expectation that this stuff takes a long time to develop, and obviously the space moves really quickly, much faster than a dev team can usually move. However, I think the underlying opportunity that exists in this space, or one of the underlying opportunities besides like the stuff that we touched on in terms of stronger platform focus, is the opportunity to build and add more to the experience faster. And that's something that I think I'm hoping we can set ourselves apart in that way, and also do it in a way where we're basically addressing things that players can see in order to make the platform better. Part of the reason for building with Rarible and Polygon and all these other existing technologies, as opposed to building literally everything from the ground up, is we can leverage their expertise to handle some of that backend stuff that has to be developed but isn't particularly player facing. So we can focus more on the more player facing things, adding more things you can do on the platform, adding more platforms, adding more content, adding more utilities. Like that's the stuff that people see. And so like a big thing that I want, I guess what I'm getting at with that is like, if we can get to a place where people are looking at us and being like, wow, they are moving fast and they're building and outbuilding other people in the space, and that's cool, and I want to be involved in that, I think that's a huge win for us. I also think there's a lot of things that people haven't leveraged before that we want to take advantage of, even down to shout out to the coupon code, the affiliate link today. I haven't seen other platforms really do that before. Not to like, and so for us, and I think there are maybe a couple examples here and there, but that's like that's us testing the waters on new stuff, and we're willing to experiment and try new things. We are definitely not the first people in this space, but we still think there's a lot of room in the space to like build really cool stuff and do unique and interesting things. And that's really the focus on like what we want to be doing with it. Is like, how can we push the space forward? How can we leverage our strengths to push the space forward and create and really carve out a niche that makes sense, and hopefully set like the new standard for what good looks like in the digital collecting space.
Cool. So, I mean, I got one question left. I've seen a couple questions in the comments. We'll get to those. If you guys got any more questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll try and get those for Trevor. I see one here that's already been answered today on Twitter. Actually, Trevor answered it already. Pre-order purchases do count towards the $100 or $300, right, Trevor?
Correct. If you can make a purchase on the site, it counts towards it.
Okay. And
as long
next
as you use the code digital at checkout.
Yeah. And this one here, I'm wondering the same question. How many mints do you guys keep?
Company?
Yeah. For this drop, this upcoming drop, like the spawn drop, I think you have 400 for one of them or whatever.
Yeah.
How many of those are held back?
Held back for few, like in the, I think people ask this in the Veve sense, 0.
Okay.
Yeah, because Veve
so you can have a mint number 1.
Yeah, mint number, yes.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So none of them are you hold none of them back.
Any pieces I have, I'm buying.
Okay.
even for you.
Yeah, like that's the experience. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Now it is a little bit of like, look, I'm buying them, but it is kind of like moving money out of my hand into the other hand. But I'm still going through the process of buying them the right way. I'm not just going to I'm not just raking shit for myself.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last question that we had from our list, I don't know if Rob has one more, but in terms of marketing, this is a great start. We've seen you all over YouTube, all over Twitter Spaces, talking about the project. Do you guys have a marketing plan to get this out there? Because right now, I think there's a little bit of information, and it's if you're paying attention in the space or on Veve's Twitter or YouTube, you've been able to find you guys. But do you guys have a mass marketing plan aside from just the social media side?
Well, we're all over a lot of social media platforms and stuff with our physical collectors that are short answer is yes. Some of the specifics are, if you are one of our physical collectors, we are hitting you over there with a lot of this stuff as well. Like with we have like a newsletter that reaches tens of thousands of people that we're constantly talking to our community about with. We obviously have our other social networks that aren't as popular with the digital collecting space. We have such as on Instagram or what have you. So we are really working in, we do have a plan to hit all those other places. And of course, like we have a whole marketing team. Like he doesn't usually come out on these things, but like there is McFarlane Toys has a CMO effectively I'm working with constantly around planning this. Now their industry is usually focused on physical toy sales, and they do an incredible job at that. We move a shitload of physical toys every year. Like I think it's even like in the millions.
Wow.
And so how do you bridge that over to the digital space? We are in the process of doing that. And of course there is like learnings that come with that, especially around, and I can't emphasize this enough, especially around the education. This space is still complicated for people who have never been in it to buy. And so we are learning how we need to continue to make that easier. So you can actually improve your marketing and your user acquisition, not just from like marketing, but also from just better tech and better product. And that's all a lot of our focus in terms of like what we've been learning and what we've been doing and what we're focusing on. And we're also willing to try new stuff. And we have been.
Yeah, that's cool.
You gotta take some risks sometimes.
Rob, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do. I want to pull up Superstar Ball.
I was gonna pull the same one.
Oh,
another big supporter. What toys are in the back there?
So I will say that some of this is McFarlane stuff, and a lot of it is also stuff that I got from when I worked in the games industry. So I will share it as I go along. I'll give you the grand tour. So this is probably the least interesting. This is the first game I worked on. It's a character named Quincy on a mobile. It's a match 3 puzzle game called Best Fiends. It's actually really good. Probably not the target demo of this, but like I liked it, and it was my first like games industry job. This is a Myrmacorno from Decon last year. For those who were there,
Are you going this year?
No, I'm
No.
not. People keep asking, and no. Here are two figures from League of Legends. So this is Dunkmaster Darius, who is one of the characters that I play, and Arcade Hackerim. For anybody who plays League, I did the characters from the game. I worked at Riot for 3 years, so that's there. Probably the topic of the day right now, because the reviews came out and they're insanely good. This is my mug that I got for working on God of War.
That's symbol.
Sony
cool.
Santa Monica.
Nice.
So yeah, I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's coming out. It literally has a 94 Metacritic. Like everybody gave it a 10 out of 10. So it's like a Game of the Year candidate.
Wow.
We did it. But that
awesome.
was, yeah. And then probably the big ones. So I'll bring them over, which is my this was my first figure that I bought from the McFarlane Toys Store, which is the Doomslayer, because I am, video games. It's pretty obvious. And then probably one of the grails, and certainly one of the most I think one of the most requested pieces, I'll say, in the digital collecting space is the blue Todd Batman. So
Nice.
this is the really cool one.
It's a little different of a pose than we're used to, but that's awesome.
With the big, this is that's the one. So yeah, and I saw this. I don't think this is like, you can't get this anymore. Like I paid like kind of a large premium for this because I really wanted it. But yeah, it's a pretty dope piece.
Okay.
And, yeah, and then the rest are like cards and shit.
That's fun.
Anyway, yeah.
Joe, you got anything? I got one final thing, but is there anything else?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, I think you did an amazing job, Superstar Trevor. We hit him with the list.
Hell yeah. Did I pass the midterm?
I mean, well, I think you did. We'll leave it up to the community to decide. I think you did an amazing job. Again, we have to thank the entire community who helped crowdsource all these questions for Trevor to make this time with him, because time is money, as they say. It's very valuable. So we want to make these AMAs as effective as they possibly can. So we appreciate everybody who submitted. There was one final question. It was from Superstar Nick Batchelor. He asked, blink twice if you think Veve has Pokemon.
What?
Exactly. Just, you know what, we'll move past that, because the Pokemon conversation has spiked now.
I know.
In the Veve
well,
community, right?
It's what you do when interest wanes.
Yeah.
Joking.
Oh my god!
You played that.
Where's the stay tuned one, Rob? Put that up again.
There we go.
Wow.
That's why I waited. I knew he couldn't answer the Pokemon question.
I said that. Oh, that was one of those things. When you say something and afterwards you regret it.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a short statement. And while I was saying it, I started regretting it. But I was already in, so I was convinced.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to a larger thing. Although this is literally what I just said, our goal is not to be antagonistic here. I think someone even said it. Rising tide lifts all ships. I think if the quality bar is going up and there's more exciting players in the space, and look, I made 2/3 of the shit that's on Veve. I clearly have a strong association and a strong love for a lot of the stuff that I made over there. If we can have awesome stuff everywhere and awesome platforms everywhere for people to engage in, and it's letting them do what they want in the digital collecting space, I think that's better for everybody. This is like our love letter to the space. This is what we think based off what we've seen. And it's not just me, the whole team is consistently in the space, listening on spaces, listening to what people are saying. We're taking notes on, we have notes of feedback just based off discussions that we see in spaces to try to make our platform and our version better. Sorry, someone can't, what do you want I'm not gonna clockwork orange this shit.
All right, well,
guys, Dino's also helping out to promote the platform. So you can use Dino's code if you want.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to use his code, we got some codes. There they are. If you want to use those to make your first purchase on the platform, make sure you connect your wallets to your email on that first link there. Then go to McFarlane Toy Store and pick out $100 or $300 worth and use the corresponding code, or use someone else's code, or just use the code without the Superstore or without the Dino, and it'll work the same. So, Rob, you got anything else there?
You know what? We got to finish it off like we always do. Trevor did an amazing job. He deserves a standing O for his performance. Well done. Well done.
God, you guys have so much shtick, and I love it.
Incredible job. So, Joe, I don't know if you have it pulled up here, guys. Again, we appreciate Superstar Trevor for coming on our channel. First time, FA Trevor on the channel. I don't know if we've interacted on Spaces. Yeah, I've seen you on so many Spaces. We appreciate you coming on. And again, I hope you all enjoyed it. You can always reach out to us more. Maybe if you have more questions afterwards, DM us, Discord, and we can reach out to Trevor. We want to learn more about this project, which is why we had him on today. So, guys, if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar, smash the subscribe button, join the Superstar fam, make sure you hit the bell notification button, because you never know the next time Trevor's coming back on. So you want to hit that bell. Also, Superstar VIP, $2.99 a month. We want to bring as much utility as possible to the membership. We just recently gave away a star in the universe. You get a name. You might be named after Star in the Universe. Everyone loves that giveaway. You get our spreadsheets for drop day. We want to bring as much utility as possible. Thank you guys all so much for your support. We appreciate all the superstars, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.